The crystal chandelier in Grandma Evelyn's dining room spilled golden light across the polished mahogany table, making the silverware gleam like accusations waiting to be voiced. I smoothed down my faded blouse, the best I had after a week of juggling 2 waitressing gigs and a night shift at the campus library, and tried to ignore the hollow ache in my stomach. Tonight was Grandma's 72nd birthday, a rare family gathering in her cozy Connecticut home. But all I could think about was how I'd skip lunch to save a few bucks for gas. My brother Caleb launched into another one of his stories, waving his fork like a conductor. And get this, the client actually tried to haggle over the premium rates I quoted. Like, dude, I'm the expert here. Dad beamed at him, clapping a hand on his shoulder. That's my son. Always one step ahead. I bit my tongue, staring at my plate. Caleb had dropped out of community college after 1 semester, but somehow snagged a desk job at Dad's old buddy's insurance firm, spouting jargon he probably Googled. Yet Mom and Dad hung on his every word, like he was delivering the Sermon on the Mount. Grandma Evelyn stood to cut the cake, her silver hair catching the light. And I caught Mom and Dad exchanging that look, the kind that spoke volumes without a sound. The kind that always left me feeling like an outsider in my own family. Mom's knuckles whitened around her glass. Dad's jaw tightened. I'd seen this silent dance 1,000 times. Their private world shutting me out. Small slice for me. Dear, Grandma said to Mom, winking my way. Gotta keep this figure trim at 72. Her warmth was the only constant in my life, a blanket against the chill of my parents' conditional affection. As dessert dragged on, Caleb droned about his latest golf outing with Dad's business pals, and I pushed crumbs around my plate, mentally tallying my last $15 until payday. Riley, sweetheart, Grandma's voice pierced my fog. Is the $1,500 I send you monthly still covering your tuition and bills? College prices are skyrocketing. And I fret about you. The room froze. My fork clattered against the china. What money? Grandma? The words hung in the air, heavy as lead. Mom's face went ashen. Dad studied the crown molding like it held the secrets of the universe. And Caleb suddenly became fascinated with his napkin, folding it into origami oblivion. Grandma's brow furrowed, her eyes darting between us. The allowance I've wired for the last 3 years to help with your studies and living costs. The cake in my gut turned to stone. I haven't seen a dime from you, Grandma. Her face hardened, pieces clicking into place like a locked tumbler. She reached for my hand across the table. Robert. Diane, care to explain this? Mom cleared her throat, voice thin. Mother. Maybe we discuss this later. Privately. No, Grandma snapped, steel in her tone. Riley deserves the truth right here. Dad shifted, uncomfortable as a man in a too-tight suit. We've been borrowing it temporarily, just to get through some rough patches. Borrowing. The word tasted like bile. How long? I whispered. Mom stared at her lap. The full 3 years. 36 months. $1,500 each. The math exploded in my brain. $54,000. You've stolen over 50 grand meant for me, I choked out. While I've been scraping by on ramen and double shifts, flashbacks hit like punches. Last winter, shivering in my drafty off-campus apartment in New Haven, choosing between heat and textbooks, begging my roommate Mia for $400 to fix my busted laptop midterms, the scholarship I lost when exhaustion tanked my GPA. Caleb had some financial troubles, Mom murmured. Debts from bad investments. We couldn't let him sink. Investments. Code for his gambling habit. The one they always bailed him out of. The world tilted. Always Caleb. The golden boy who could do no wrong. Even when he did everything wrong. You've managed without it, Dad waved dismissively. Built resilience. Resilience? As if my skipped meals were boot camp for their family dysfunction. While I ate expired yogurt from the diner trash, I repeated, voice rising. And pulled all-nighters before exams? Caleb needed emergency help, but I got character building. Grandma's hand squeezed mine. Warm and unyielding. I had no clue. My girl. None. In that moment. Something cracked inside me, not just hurt, but a deep, simmering rage. I looked at Dad. Really looked. And saw not the hero of my childhood, but a coward who'd sold out his daughter for his son's vices. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken betrayals, until I stood, chair scraping like a verdict. They'd chosen. Time and again. Now it was my turn. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the lace curtains of Grandma Evelyn's study, turning dust motes into floating gold. I sat in the wingback chair, clutching a mug of coffee more for its heat than the caffeine, staring at family photos on the walls, faded smiles from Thanksgivings and beach trips that now felt like lies. I never thought they'd stoop this low, Grandma said, pulling a thick envelope from her antique desk. She spread out bank records, red ink circling transactions like wounds. But the proof is here. My eyes blurred over the figures, withdrawals spanning 6 years. The total slammed into me, $120,000. That's impossible, I gasped. Your trust fund, she explained. Voice steady but eyes pained. Set up at your birth. With your parents as trustees. It was yours at 21. I thought of the student loans piling up. The internships I turned down because I couldn't afford the unpaid hours. The nights I cried from bone-deep fatigue. But what about Caleb's fund? I asked. Throat tight. Grandma's lips thinned. Caleb never went to college. Riley. Not a single credit. The room spun. But he bragged about his finance classes. Dad praised his straight A's. All smoke and mirrors. She pushed forward credit statements, casino charges, online poker sites, luxury watches. This is where your future went, down the drain of his addiction. Caleb's voice echoed in my head. Dropped that accounting course. Too easy for a pro like me. Lies. Seamless and unchallenged. I'd bought them all. I've updated my will this morning, Grandma said. And set up direct deposits to you, $2,000 monthly. No more middlemen. My gut twisted. They'll fight this. She covered my hand. Let them try. You're worth fighting for. As I nodded. Resolve hardening like cement. I knew this was war. I'd claw back every cent. Every lost opportunity. No matter the cost. That afternoon, in the quiet of Grandma's guest room, exhaustion pulled at me like quicksand. But sleep wouldn't come. My phone glowed with 5 missed calls from Mom. I silenced it, rummaging in the nightstand for a charger. When my fingers brushed something cold, an old iPhone. Mom's discard from last year. Curiosity, or maybe instinct, made me power it on. No passcode. Typical carelessness. I scrolled texts, not knowing what I sought until I found it. A thread with Dad. Dated February last year. Robert, Evelyn called. Wondering why Riley's so grateful for money she never got. Diane told her Riley's mixed up. Reminded her of her forgetfulness issues. Robert, smart. Let Riley believe Evelyn flaked. It'll make her stronger. Diane, exactly. Caleb needs the buffer to sort his mess. Robert, Riley's tough. She'll survive. The phone slipped from my numb fingers. It wasn't accident or desperation. It was calculated cruelty. They'd engineered my suffering, watched me starve and scramble, and patted themselves on the back for tough love. Stronger. As if my hunger pangs were life lessons in their sick playbook. I stumbled to the bathroom, breath ragged. gripping the sink as memories crashed over me. Flashback to last Christmas break, standing in the Yale bookstore. Weighing a used econ text against new boots for the slushy walks, the burn of shame asking Mia for that loan. Eyes downcast. Need $400 for a computer, mine crapped out. Meanwhile, Caleb jetted to Vegas on my dime. Tears came hot and fast, but beneath them, fury ignited a clean, white-hot blaze that cauterized the pain. In the mirror, I saw a woman forged in fire. No longer the dutiful daughter. I splashed water. Decision crystallizing. I'd expose them. Cut ties if needed. But first, I called Mia. For over an hour, I poured it out to her on the phone. Voice breaking then steadying. They gaslit me into thinking Grandma forgot her promise. Mia's outrage mirrored mine. That's straight up evil. Riley, you deserve justice. Grandma knocked later, handing me legal papers. My attorney will pursue restitution. First payment hits tomorrow. My bank app pinged. $2,000 deposited. Not just cash freedom. After hanging with Mia, I grabbed a notebook, jotting boundaries in sharp black ink. No more lies. No enabling harm. No shame for their sins. No sacrificing my dreams. I slid under the sheets, bills forgotten, and slept like the dead, unburdened. At last, for weeks later, the words in my marketing textbook swam under the fluorescent hum of my dorm lamp. I'd adapted to the luxury of groceries without coupons, but the emotional scars itched like fresh wounds. A knock shattered my focus, sharp, insistent. Through the peephole, Mom and Dad, looming like storm clouds. My heart hammered, but I opened the door. Chin high. What are you doing here? Mom forced a smile. Too bright. Surprise visit. Honey. We were nearby. Nearby? They'd never set foot on my Yale campus in 3 years. Dad pushed past, scanning my tiny room like an appraiser. Mom sat on my bed, patting the spot beside her. We're concerned about Grandma Evelyn. Her decisions lately. Erratic. Dad nodded, fingering my desk lamp. Doctor mentioned cognitive decline last checkup. The lie was so blatant it almost made me laugh. Grandma, who beat me at chess and traded stocks like a Wall Street shark. Sharp as ever. Cut the crap, I said. Arms crossed. You want me to talk her out of the new will? The one cutting you off. Mom's eyes welled, crocodile tears. This family's tearing apart. And Caleb. He's in real danger from those lenders. Always the sob story. Dad's mask slipped. You owe us. Riley. After all we've done raising you. Owe them? Rage boiled over. Like stealing my $54,000 allowance? Or the trust fund you blew on Caleb's slots? I thrust out my hands, calloused from diner grease. Scarred from coffee burns. This is what you're borrowing, bought, exhaustion. Hunger. Lost opportunities. Mom blanched. Caleb needed. I needed parents. I yanked Mom's old phone from my drawer. But you chose to be his ATM. Remember this? Let Riley think Evelyn flaked. It'll toughen her up. Dad's face purpled. That's private. And theft's public? My voice was ice. Conditions for any contact, admit it all. No excuses. Family therapy. Repay every penny. Dad sneered. You don't dictate to us. Then get out. Mom's tears turned real. But I held the door. They left. Dad fuming. Mom broken. Calm washed over me, not victory yet. But power. Mia burst in later. Pizza in hand. Holy shit. You slayed. Sharing the story, I nodded the last tensions. And that night, I slept deep. Dreams free of chains. 5 weeks on. Library sunlight painted patterns on my notes. Energy steady from actual meals. Professor Hartley approached. Riley, your ethics paper was stellar. TA spot open flexible. Paid. 6 months ago. I'd have been too wiped to apply. Now, yes. Please. She grinned. Email your resume. My phone buzzed, Mom's 6th voicemail. Guilt-laced please. I deleted it. No pang. I'd blocked the flying monkeys, uncles. Cousins parroting, family first. My printed email to them, fax only, had silenced most. Budget in black ink. Body healing. Grades soaring. Then Caleb called. Riley? It's me from Oak Ridge Rehab. 2 months in. His voice. Stripped of bravado. I knew about the money. Watched you suffer while I gambled it away. No excuses. Just. I'm sorry. The raw truth hit deep. No strings. Thanks for saying it, I replied. Guarded but open. Biggest win, standing firm. Scars turning to strength. 2 days later. Autumn leaves crunched underfoot as I waited in the New Haven cafe. Nerves taut. Caleb arrived transformed, lean. Clear-eyed. In a plain hoodie. 94 days clean, he said. Sitting. He slid a notebook across, ledger of thefts. Dates. Amounts. Full disclosure. I knew from the start. Started with a $300 bet Dad covered. Snowballed to $15,000 owed to sharks. His eyes met mine. I didn't stop them. Scared. Selfish. The betrayal stung fresh. But his honesty cracked my armor. Mom and Dad won't do therapy, he admitted. Told them I won't mediate anymore. What they did. Unforgivable. An alliance. Fragile but real. I can't forgive yet, I said. But keep recovering. We parted without hugs. But with understanding, survivors of the same poison. Steps lighter. Peace edging in. 6 months later. Spring warmed the quad as I strode to class. Bag light with ebooks. Professor Hartley, expand your role? And apply for the Baxter Fellowship. Pride swelled. Absolutely. Talia's text, beach trip memories, epic. Our cheap Miami getaway, first taste of joy without strings. Grandma called, flight booked for graduation. Dinner on me. Her garden rustled. Housing app done, your own kitchen next year. An unopened letter from Mom waited in my bag, no rush. Their words couldn't touch me now. In the mirror of a passing window, I saw resilience incarnate. Betrayed, but unbroken. Chosen paths had costs, but freedom? Priceless.